a mushroom walks into a bar and says, "Bartender, give me a drink." The bartender says, "We don't serve your kind here." And the mushroom says, "Why not? I'm a fun guy." All right, today we are going to get started growing shiitake mushrooms. So shiitake mushrooms grow best, according to the instructions I've read, in fresh oak logs. And we have little shiitake plugs. Let me show you these plugs. So little wooden dowels, basically, that are inoculated with shiitake mushroom spawn. So what we're going to do is drill a bunch of holes in the log, pound these guys in the holes, seal them with wax, and then this log next year should start giving us shiitake mushrooms if I did everything right. First thing we're going to do is drill some holes, and we want to be drilling these holes 4 or 5 inches apart. And about 1 inch deep, just deep enough that the little dowel can make it all the way in. Then we'll make another set of holes offset and go in all the way around the log that way. So I've got these holes here, so my next one will go in the middle here. Okay, so now we'll grab our little shiitake plug spawn and we will just push these plugs into the holes. Now we should be able to just grab a hammer and tap them in. Pretty easy. Okay, the next step is to actually seal each of these with wax. And I think the idea here is you don't want the actual plug with the mycelium on it to dry out. So I actually have a little backpacking stove that I'm going to fire up and melt some wax to daub on here. Okay. This looks pretty straightforward. Okay. So now I just want to roll the log and keep doing this diamond pattern all the way around the log. Ugh. So I should mention the advice that Northspore gives about log selection. For shiitake, they say shiitake prefers oak logs and the logs have to be fresh cut. And I gather there's 2 reasons for that. They don't explicitly say, but number 1, so that if it's just get a rotten log laying on the ground, odds are there's some other kind of fungi already colonizing it, so your shiitake might not take well. Reason number 2, I bet, is that you might get some mushrooms growing, but they might not be the one you think they are, and maybe you shouldn't be eating them. So they do recommend cutting down a fresh tree and doing it like 2 to 3 weeks. Within 2 to 3 weeks of cutting it down, put your spawn in, which is what I planned to do. So this is a small oak that I cut down in the middle of March on a rare, not so cold day. I was intending to do this at the beginning of April. It's the middle of May now. Hopefully everything still works good. Certainly don't see anything growing in these logs, and it's been so cold up until just the last couple weeks that I feel like the timer should start until now. So also, apparently the thickness of the log matters a lot. The thicker the log is, the longer it'll take for it to actually start producing mushrooms, but also the more years it'll produce mushrooms. They generally say for a diameter, every inch of diameter is basically the number of years that you'll get mushrooms out of it. So I'm going to try to do like a few different sizes. Okay, that's it for this log. Why don't we do a smaller one next? All right, here's a wee little one. The little log's nice. This one really fast. All right, and there we have it. That's actually quite a lot of logs inoculated out of just that one bag of shiitake mushroom plugs. So I got a couple of little ones and then several bigger ones. The next step is I am supposed to store these someplace out of the sun that is close to the ground, but not on the ground. So I need to get something to lift them up. All right, so these logs are now up off of the ground in this little pocket of the forest, and now I'm just gonna leave them here the rest of this year, all winter, and then hopefully sometime next year we'll get our first flush of shiitake mushrooms on this, and that should continue for year after year for several years to come without my really needing to do anything more. Pretty good deal.